Hello, everyone, and welcome along to Championship Drill. Myself, Steve, and Phil. Apologies that we haven't been with you for a while. As you know, I was sick, and then we came back and did a show, and then Phil got sick, and essentially you lost your voice for about a month.
Yeah, I was gone for about 3.5 weeks.
Yeah,
It
so
was really frustrating.
and no one wants to listen to me talking to myself for
Yeah,
about the championship, so we had to wait for Phil's voice to be on the mend. Still not fully back, I'd say, is it, or just
it
about?
comes and goes. It comes and goes. Like sometimes there now I might just start breaking out of nowhere, but 80% is good.
That's good. So we're back with you again today. We're going to have a kind of a quick comeback show before we talk about the games that happened tonight, and then we'll have a look ahead to the weekend's action. We'll be back to normal then from next week on. But the
Yeah.
big news, I suppose, today was Wilder taking over from Bilic as Watford manager. Um, we've been
Again.
talking for a while about Bilic is going to be sacked if things don't improve.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think it was coming.
it
Because
was.
did they had a bad result? They just had bad results over the whole few weeks that I was away. They had a few wins, but like Watford are
Yeah.
actually after falling down to 10th place. So I suppose the board want to act now because they think they could still get in the playoffs. Um, the
Yeah,
problem,
Chris
the
Wilder
problem
coming in is a
was that,
strange one though.
yeah, oh yeah, big time. But I think it's more to do with he got a team up, Sheffield
Yeah.
United, but he destroyed Middlesbrough.
Yeah,
So
I mean he was sacked there after less than a year in
they're
charge.
bottom of the table nearly.
Yeah, didn't do well at all with them.
No,
Sheffield United obviously were his hometown club, and he brought them up as well. But yeah, terrible at Middlesbrough. It didn't work well for him.
no,
Um, So, QPR, who were struggling for the minute, was going to be his first game in charge. Bilic, though, a little bit harsh because not that long ago, like the injuries he had when he was manager of Watford were ridiculous.
yeah,
Saying there at one stage he had 15 players out injured.
this is monumental. This is their
Yeah.
third manager as well of the year. It's
Yeah.
crazy. But
Third
yeah,
manager of the year.
15.
Like I was saying to you earlier, to put it into context, and I know we joke about Watford always sacking managers,
Yeah.
had 18 full-time managers. That's not even like the guys that come in as caretaker.
Yeah.
18 full-time managers since 2012.
So
So in
like
like 10 and a half years.
that's
West
two.
Ham have had 17 full-time managers since they were founded
Yeah.
over 100 years ago, well over 100 years ago. It's
Yeah.
kind of insane how
Yeah.
many managers Watford go through.
It's the
I don't
owners.
know how a manager takes that job.
Yeah, like again, Chris Wilder has nothing to lose because he's coming off a bad spell, as we said, with
Yeah,
Middlesbrough. It was either this or take a job in League One.
yeah.
Um,
That's it. 1 win in 8 for Bilic is kind of what eventually did it
yeah, the
for him, I
telling
suppose.
point, yeah. They have good
Um,
players like Sarr should be doing much better.
yeah. And like I said, it's 18 managers since 2012, full-time managers. It's their ninth one since 2019.
Yes, that's insane. Uh, could we be
Uh,
a record? Could we have a record 10 before 5 years? I'd say so.
maybe. I mean, Javi Garcia left in September 2019. They've had 9 full-time managers since then.
Yeah, insane.
You're talking about not even 4 years,
Yeah,
and they've had 9 managers.
yeah, crazy.
Uh, it's kind of nuts.
Yeah, I
And when
just
you
don't
think
know.
about it, Kike Flores was there, Nigel Pearson, Ivic, Munoz, Ranieri, Hodgson, Edwards, and Bilic. Um, it's kind of mad, and now Wilder obviously as well. It's insane. I don't know what do you do as a Watford fan. I'd love to know what the fans think of this manager's coming and going and coming and going
And then John,
constantly.
who's on the board as well.
Yeah, it must be really frustrating for the players. It must be really frustrating for the fans.
Yeah, I kind of hope
Um,
that they don't go up. To be honest, I hope
and
that
that's
was.
kind of the thing. Like when Pearson got sacked, a lot of people turned on them.
Yeah,
and was like, I hope nothing happens to them. I hope nothing good happens to them. And they got relegated that season.
Yeah.
After that.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they have a chance of making the playoffs, but it's not going to be easy.
Oh, they're 6 points off the playoff. Oh, no, they're 4 points off the playoffs.
Yeah, they're up against really struggling with QPR. I mean, QPR have shot down the table.
Yeah, like I actually said that at the time when the QPR manager came in, he won't last. He
I mean,
wasn't a
it's
good choice.
20th in the table now.
Insane.
We said it was kind of strange for him to leave Wickham.
Yeah.
So we'll wait and see. Now they are good points wise. They're about 7 clear of the drop zone, so they should be okay that way. I think the bottom 3, because of Cardiff's good result at the weekend, I think the bottom 3 are in a lot of trouble. It's going to be hard to see any of those 3 make it out.
It's hard to know though, because this is the time now where they all start winning.
They could do. They've got 6 points to make up, and they all have goal difference to make up. Yeah. So you're talking about 2 wins and a draw, but they have to do better than Cardiff in the last 11 games.
Yeah.
And it's hard to see that happening. But you never know, like you said.
Exactly.
And one of them could go on a run. Mm-hmm. And obviously you've got Warnock at Huddersfield and Mick at Blackpool. So you never know. 2 very experienced managers there.
Yeah.
Not much else, I suppose, in terms of news, really, in terms of today. Big fight going on since you were out for obviously the playoff places. Starting to take a bit more shape now, though. You wouldn't discount them, but Preston in 12th have kind of a lot to make up in terms of 8 points, but also just the sheer amount of teams that are above them now.
I think the only teams that could go now are 10th, Watford, West Brom.
Watford up, Sunderland.
I can't see anyone below that.
Off a little bit.
Yeah,
Millwall went on a good run, but then things weren't going brilliant from Norwich, Luton, Blackburn, Middlesbrough currently sitting them. I suppose the place to start is Sheffield United. They beat Reading tonight, which puts them 7 points clear at third. We've said for a long time that we think the top 2 as they stand are going to be the top 2.
I was thinking that recently, and I'm going to make a bold move and thinking no.
Yeah, no.
Middlesbrough are going to catch them. They're going to catch Sheffield.
I don't know if they can. I don't know. I mean, they just keep winning as well, Sheffield.
They had a bad result, didn't they, at the weekend?
No.
They draw at the weekend.
Bit lucky.
They lost the
close enough game tonight, the one against Reading. It's 5 wins in a row for Sheffield United over Reading. Reading were on a good home run.
Yeah.
They'd not lost in 7 matches at home or something along them lines.
Yeah.
Certainly, they could have argued they deserved a point in this one.
Yeah. They definitely had more chances, and they. I obviously wasn't. I didn't see it, so.
No. It's a good win. A good win away from home against a team they do beat pretty often when they play against them.
Yeah.
But Reading, like I said, we're on a very, very good home run of form, not losing in 7. So
but they need to win though because of that result against Blackburn at the weekend.
Yeah.
As well. If they didn't win that gap would have been so close.
I mean, it's their first away win in 4 matches, so they needed that.
Yeah.
And Burnley are now, streets ahead. I mean, Burnley are 17 points clear of third.
Yeah, they're
11 games to go. That ain't gonna, essentially 15 points. Like Burnley can literally win 5, lose 6, and they'd still be guaranteed to go up essentially.
Yeah.
Which is kind of mental. I think that you can lose more than half your games that are left and still go up.
Yeah.
Such as their dominance this season.
Yeah,
Boro you could see possibly catching them, but they slip up here and there themselves lately.
They had a few poor results.
I just can't see them making up 7 points, because that would mean Sheffield United would have to lose 3 matches essentially.
A couple of draws here and there though. That's
draws might do here and there, but then you're also saying Middlesbrough have to win all 11 of their remaining matches.
All of their games,
and I don't see that happening.
If they won 11 games, they have 93 points.
Yeah. I suppose you're looking at 46 games. I mean, they're 7 behind now.
Yeah.
If they could cut that down to 4 with like 6 games to go,
Yeah.
so if, then you're like, yeah, it is kind of possible.
And they play each
Could see
other
it
as well, are
happening.
they? Do they have
What's
to
that?
play? Do they have to play each other as well?
I'm not sure. I haven't gone through the final list of fixtures, but potentially, yeah.
Sheffield.
Goal differences on Sheffield United side, but only by 4 goals, which isn't monstrous amount.
Yeah.
Millwall, their goal difference is what's keeping them out at the minute of the playoffs. Who are on a good run as well. I suppose Huddersfield 0, Bristol City 0 doesn't do either team any good. Not that Bristol City are
No.
going anywhere.
Yeah, but again, Huddersfield will find hard points to get by. It's a good.
Yeah, draws won't do them at this stage.
No.
They need to start getting a few wins.
Yeah.
And then your dad's team, West Brom,
Goal
good
was
win
good.
over Wigan.
Very good. He's capable.
Um,
He's capable of scoring that goals. We saw it. We him do it at Barnsley.
yeah, and he's starting to get a few lately.
Yeah.
Which
6
is
goals.
good. 4 times West Brom hit the woodwork.
Yeah. Yeah, like Wigan were on a decent run. I think they lost 1 and 6. Or I think they lost 1 and 6. There's a lot of draws, but like
Yeah.
new
Bottom of the
managers
league.
come in and kind of steady them a bit, but West Brom are too good, I think,
Yeah,
overall.
and again, Wigan are going to need wins.
Yeah.
And their next game is away to Burnley, which we'll talk about the games coming up in a minute. So
Yeah.
that's not going to make things any easier for them.
No.
As for West Brom, they closed within 4 points of the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's not impossible,
No.
which you would have said a month ago was very unlikely, the run of form they were in.
Yeah.
But yeah, good manager. Like they really, I think, in getting Corbrad in, I think was a great move for them.
Yeah.
And I just think, yeah, he seems to know how to get the best out of Daryl Dyke.
Mm-hmm.
It would seem, because Dyke has played really well. I know he was injured a lot of the early part of the season, which obviously didn't help as well.
Yeah.
But West Brom are in there. They're certainly in the mix. Coventry, Millwall, Norwich, Luton. I mean, you'd hope one of Coventry, Millwall, and Luton end up in the playoffs.
Yeah, you would hope so. Yeah. Yeah.
But it is a possibility that West Brom catch them, and then you've got Middlesbrough, Blackburn, West Brom, and Norwich in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Or, like you said, potentially Sheffield United dropping down into third.
Blackburn are hit and miss as well. They could lose 3 or 4 in a row.
They could, and it's so tight. I mean, like we said, there's 3 points between Watford and 10th, and Millwall, who are in 7th at the minute.
Yeah.
So, you're only talking 4 points between 10th and 6th, which is nothing with, 11 games to go.
You look at the table there, right? Blackburn are 4th with a goal difference of +1.
+1, yeah. They've taken a couple of beatings this season, that's for sure, when they've lost matches. They've lost a few bad ones.
Yeah.
But that's the way it goes. Yeah, I think if you look at the goal differences in general, the top 3 aside, they're not brilliant. They don't make great readings for any team.
Luton are +9, Norwich +12.
Yeah.
Watford +3.
Yeah, it's kind of strange reading now that you say that.
Yeah.
Like the top 3, Burnley +40, Sheffield United +25, Middlesbrough +21. The next best, like you said, are that Norwich team.
Yeah.
With 12.
And they're not brilliant.
Which is, it's not great. And then after that, it is Luton with +9. Which is very strange. When you think Stoke on 43 points. Stoke on 43 points, 15 points behind Blackburn, have a better goal difference.
Yeah. I know, yeah. I think West Brom would have a lot more though if Steve Bruce left earlier.
Yeah. I mean, they're the two stories of the season in terms of changing a manager and it going right when we talk about it at Watford, and potentially it works for Watford as well. But I think Middlesbrough and West Brom are definitely the two that brought in a manager.
Yeah.
Partway through the season, and it's worked out really, really well for them.
Yeah.
Middlesbrough haven't looked back. Essentially, he's got to be a candidate up there, no matter where they finish, whether they make the playoffs or whether they finish in the top 2 or
Yeah,
You know,
so
no matter what happens for the
yeah,
season, has to be up for manager of the year, surely.
yeah, 100%.
But
I
he's
think
turned
I
around.
think he leave him if he did don't go up. To be honest,
Yeah, and likewise, I think Corbyn has done a very underrated job at West Brom because they were not good
no,
when he came in.
no,
Um,
they were
so they're
just
doing really well. And even though they lost, I think Ince hasn't done too badly at Reading. He's kind of steadied them a little bit.
yeah,
Like they're not pushing for the playoffs the way they possibly could be, but
yeah.
at the same time, he's made them very tricky team to beat. You know, I mean, relying on Andy Carroll a little
I
bit here
suppose it
and there as
depends
well
now
as
next season if he can bring in players again. We'll talk about that when we get to the end of the
absolutely.
season. But they need a forward.
Yeah, I mean, they're relying on Andy Carroll a lot,
Yeah,
which you know, he's never been that kind of a guy.
no, not at all. Um,
So, will we have a look ahead to kind of finish the show? Have a quick look ahead to what's coming up
at the
in
weekend,
terms of our fixtures for the weekend and
Friday
ahead.
night.
Uh, so Friday night's game, Stoke City and Blackburn Rovers.
I mean, Stoke will beat Blackburn.
Yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it?
Mm,
Then we've got a load of games on Saturday and the one on Sunday before we go to midweek games again.
mm.
Bristol City, Blackpool. Again, Bristol City are one of these teams now with 11 games to go. You
They're
don't know
not
where the
playing
players'
for you.
heads are
They're
at.
not.
It's getting to that stage when there's 7, 8 games to go, and a team know they're not going to be promoted, and a team know they're not going to be relegated.
Yeah,
It's like how much do they put into matches?
yeah.
So that is a
Yeah.
potential for Blackpool to pick up a big win there, I think.
Yeah, no, you're right. That could be the weekend
Um,
upset.
Birmingham, Rotherham, big win for Rotherham last weekend.
Yeah,
Going away
both
to
teams
Birmingham won't be
had a
easy.
good win.
Yeah. Burnley, who were held by Blackpool
Yeah.
at the weekend, a bit of a shock result. And now they've got another of the bottom three, Wigan. Surely they're going to win this one.
You would think so.
Yeah. Coventry and Hull, a chance for Coventry maybe to push back up towards the playoffs again.
Yeah.
Hard to know though. Preston, Cardiff, I mean, again, toss the coin and hope for the best there because they're so up and down, Preston. And
You're
Cardiff
on.
have just been very poor. And QPR home to Watford. So, you know, I suppose Wilder in some ways it's struggling QPR side. It's kind of a dream start, but at the same time, you're going away to QPR. You know, they're not quite local derby, but they're not that far from each other, Watford and QPR.
Yeah.
So it's going to be, you know, the fans will be right up for that one. It's going to be a tricky one for Watford. I don't think it's going to be as easy an opening fixture as he thinks it'll be.
No.
You know, so
Could
we'll see
lose.
what happens there. Could lose, yeah. It wouldn't surprise me. Reading, Millwall. Millwall really need to start getting a couple more wins again, and after their good run kind of ended. Yeah, it's a tough one. Like I said, Ince doing pretty well at Reading. They had a good home record. They obviously lost that tonight. They'll want to go on a good run at home now again. So it's going to be a good game. I'd say that one, Reading and Millwall. Sheffield United against Luton Town. Sheffield United, like you said, they want to keep Middlesbrough at bay, have to kind of keep winning, and it's not going to be. We know how tough Luton can be. Again, potential for a good game, that one.
Yeah, could be very good.
Swansea against Boro.
I think Swansea now are another team like Bristol City. They've nothing.
Yeah, they're one of those mid-table teams that have nothing going for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, big one for Boro to win that as well because they've got to keep the pressure up.
Yeah.
West Brom, you would say after tricky game tonight, home tie against Huddersfield, you'd imagine that should be
You
pretty
should be, but they lost
straightforward.
the whole. They lost the whole last weekend, so
Yeah, and those are the ones, and obviously we know Neil Warnock, and you don't know what you're going to get. So that's going to be a trickier one at home as well.
Yeah.
You kind of want to be playing those mid-table teams now.
Exactly.
You don't want to be playing the teams fighting for their lives at the bottom.
Yeah.
So much. And then one game on Sunday, which is a big one for Sunderland, I think. If Sunderland have any hope of making the playoffs, that's a big game. That's one they have to win.
Yeah, after the disaster was at the weekend. They did a
Yeah,
disaster.
I think they have to win that game. They have to beat Norwich, if they want any hope at all of making that playoffs. And it's not just the points difference. You can talk about the fact that they're not that many points behind,
Yeah.
but there's so many teams between them and the playoffs right now, and it's a chance to pick up 3 on Norwich,
Yeah.
who are one of the teams in the playoffs.
So it's like this weekend there's football. It's the weekend after there's none. It's
Weekend
international.
after, yeah, we take a break. No, the weekend after the championship still goes ahead, as far as I know.
Okay.
For now,
There is an
um,
international break.
yeah, there is the international break coming up then at the end of March, isn't it?
Yeah.
Between the not the weekend of Patrick's weekend, which is not this weekend, but the weekend after, then we have a break of about 10, 12 days for the international break.
Mm-hmm.
So there's fixtures this weekend, there's fixtures the following weekend, and then there's the international break.
Yeah.
And then we come back from the international break with Burnley playing Sunderland on Friday night. So that's one to look forward to at the end of March. Full set of midweek fixtures as well next week that we'll talk about on our Monday show. And then, like I said, we have Saturday, Sunday matches the following weekend. And then an international break. So you're talking about 2 more matches for most teams.
Okay. Yeah, it'd be interesting. That kind of defines the season. Those international breaks can kill you.
Yeah, it's one of those where, like, for some teams it's probably going to be a good thing. For other teams, it won't be.
Yeah. 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 I'd be intrigued. I'm interested now to see it because we've seen it happen with Reading and they never recovered.
Yeah, so teams are 35 games played, there'll be 36, 37, 38 games played. There'll be 8 games to go when they have the international break.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's for some teams they're not going to want that international break.
Yeah.
The teams that are on those good runs certainly don't want them. Yeah. Whereas the teams that are kind of struggling down there at the bottom, managers are probably like, we don't have a lot of internationals. This gives me an extra bit of time to work on the players. Yeah. And really, really drill home. So the likes of Blackpool, the likes of Huddersfield, who have those experienced managers, I'll expect them to be pretty good coming out of the international break. They're certainly a lot tougher to beat when the managers have had a chance to just train them for a week straight, a week solid, without matches.
Yeah.
It's going to be an interesting end to the season. Do you see, like, if you had to pick your playoff teams right now, I know it's very tough to call because it is so tight.
Yeah, I'd say Norwich, Middlesbrough, West Brom.
Yeah.
And I don't like saying it about Watford.
Yeah, it could be Watford. I mean, if you're to look at the teams in and around there, you say Sheffield United have lost 3 of their last 5.
Yeah.
And Blackburn have won their last 4, so they're on a good run after a bad run.
Yeah.
Norwich haven't lost in 5.
Yeah.
Millwall obviously were on a good run, then they lost. Coventry are a team that are on a very good run of form.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see them come up.
4 wins and a draw in their last 5.
Yeah.
They're a team that could sneak in there.
Yeah, they could.
Yeah, Burnley are kind of just doing enough, aren't they? Just
they
draw, win, draw, win, draw, win, draw,
win. They'll coast
yeah.
to the end of the season.
It's kind of a strange one. Like we said, there's certain teams that you just don't know what's going to happen. I mean, Blackburn Rovers, like you said, I don't know how they're in there. They've only scored 39 goals this season.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
And they've conceded 38.
They had a great start.
Yeah. They did have a good start, but they just don't score goals, like you said.
Didn't they lose 7-0 at one point? Or 7?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very, very few goals. I mean, 39 goals, the next lowest in a team that are, anywhere near them is 12th place.
Yeah.
Preston, who've only scored 30, which is, I think like Huddersfield have scored 30 goals.
Yeah.
Cardiff has scored 27. We know that's their problem.
Mm.
I mean that's how bad Preston have been when it comes to scoring goals, which
Yeah.
is weird for a team that has 17,000 strikers at the club
I know, yeah.
that they can't score a goal. It's really weird. Like Preston's record is typical Preston. If you
Yeah.
look at it,
Yeah.
35 games played, 12 wins, 11 draws, 12 defeats,
Yeah.
30 goals for, 38 against,
Mm.
4 draws and a win in their last 5
That's
games.
just not
I
working.
mean, that's the most Preston of a season you're ever going to get. Where you're like, if we could have turned 3 draws into a win, we'd be up in the playoff or close to it anyway.
Yeah.
It's just it's not a good run for him. Sunderland are a team that are struggling. 3 defeats in a row.
Yeah, and a hammer in as well at the
Huge,
weekend.
huge game against Norwich. Really is. Norwich have won.
I don't think they'll beat them.
No, I mean Norwich have won 3 in a row.
Yeah.
Sunderland have lost 3 in a row. But
Yeah.
it's a game they have to win, I suppose.
Yeah.
QPR have terrible run of form. I mean they've lost their last 5.
Yeah. I know it's going to be just stay up now with him, and then he'll do his business next season.
That's what they're going to hope, but I mean he can't keep losing, or they're going to be playing in League One next season.
He'll be playing Wycombe, yeah.
Because it is a 7-point gap they have over Blackpool at the minute.
Yeah.
But I mean, if they keep losing matches, that won't take long to.
No.
By the way, so
Exactly.
So it's going to be a fun, exciting end to the season. I think before the international break, we're going to have a clearer shape of the teams that are in the playoffs. Like you said at the minute, and I'd agree. I think the top 10 at the minute have a chance.
Yeah.
I know Sunderland are only a point further back, but their form is so poor.
Yeah, that's it. Like that's going to be a bigger gap come the weekend, I think, when Norwich will be way out. Yeah.
So that's not to say a Preston or a Bristol City or a Sunderland aren't going to go on like a 7-game winning run and make the playoffs. Could happen. We've seen it before. I just think it's unlikely.
Yeah.
But I think by the time we get to the international break, 3 more games played, I think we'll have a clearer shape in terms of like maybe it's going to be more between 8 teams.
That's another thing as well. Like if Bristol City do win their next 3 games, they will have that playoff thing, and then they'll come back and lose every game.
Yeah, that can be the problem too with it. Watford, I don't know what's going to happen with them.
Yeah,
when it comes to new manager and everything. They concede too many goals, but they also don't score enough.
Yeah.
It's a strange one. Like they've such talented players, it's really weird that they don't score more goals.
Mm-hmm.
I know they've had injuries and they've had bad injuries to key players as well, but it's a disappointing season so far for Watford. There's no other way of saying it.
Mm-hmm.
They were one of the favourites to win the league.
Yeah.
So it's very disappointing. I think Coventry, the last couple of seasons has been brilliant. Gyökeres up front has been one of the players of the season.
Yeah. So he's been linked with a few teams at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, and he's the guy we talked about when he first came to Coventry who just didn't score enough goals.
Yeah.
Huge potential, but didn't score goals.
Yeah.
And this season, last season a little bit, this season he's really stepped up.
Yeah.
Millwall as well have done kind of what they haven't done the last few years. They've still drawn 9 matches. But I mean, a couple of seasons ago, that would have been 15 matches they'd have drawn.
Yeah, exactly.
And just turning those extra few draws into wins is enough to have them right up there.
Yeah.
And again, team that, probably could do with scoring more goals.
Mm-hmm. Big time.
But defensively strong. Home, they're a very good team as well.
Yeah.
So it's for me. I find it very hard to call. I think Boro and Blackburn definitely are going to make the playoffs. I think Norwich will make the playoffs because they found something. They're on a good run of form.
Yeah. No, I agree. And
then I do think it's Luton, Millwall, Coventry, West Brom, and possibly Watford. It's one from those teams.
Yeah, it's very, 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 very hard to call.
Like we said, and that's not to say Norwich now don't go out and lose their next 5 matches either. It's possible. It's unlikely though. They're in such good form at the minute. So I think it's going to be exciting. It's going to be a fun end to the season. Certainly looking forward to it. And as we lead into the playoffs, and we all know how much fun the playoffs can be.
Yeah.
So will we leave it there, Phil? Want to rest your voice a little bit,
Yeah.
since we'll be doing another show on next Monday night, and give your voice another week or so to rest.
Yeah, we'll all be good then.
But you're feeling better, and that's the main thing.
That's the main thing.
And yeah, no, just double checking. There's no more news has come out. There's been nothing mad happening. No, nothing really.
No, not for now anyway.
Not for now. So we'll see how it goes, and we will talk to you on probably either Sunday night or Monday.
Yeah.
After the weekend games.
Yeah, sounds good.
Sounds good to me. So thanks everyone for listening, and we'll talk again soon.